In the basement of the First Presbyterian Church on Wick Avenue, Penguin Physical Therapy is an outreach program giving YSU students real-world experience.
It gives us an opportunity as a program to give back to the community.
Today we take a look at the Department of Physical Therapy in the new YSU. While living in Milwaukee 2 years ago, LEVON Johnson suffered a stroke, which required him to move back home to Youngstown. For the past year, he's been a patient at Penguin Physical Therapy.
When I originally got here, my left leg, I had to drag it. So they basically started me off with a lot of working with my gait. Initially, it was just more stepping up on the things and maintaining my balance. Learning the transition from getting off the ground to standing back up, all the things you take for granted.
Aside from one professor, the staff here at Penguin Physical Therapy is comprised of YSU students.
And then when you come back, you're going to step over the toes.
CARRAMUSA is the Director of Clinical Education.
It's a great venue for our program and our students. We're able to provide services for low income and people who have maybe maxed out their insurance benefits. It gives us an opportunity as a program to give back to the community. As clinicians, in parallel with our students, they get exposed to patients.
People here and the students especially, they all take a great deal of pride in what they do. And you can tell how much they care about you getting better. I mean, they're learning, but it's still them taking pride in what they do. So, to be honest, if I could come here, even when I did have insurance, I would.
It's a lot of hands-on, obviously, because PT is a very hands-on profession. It's science, but it's art, because a lot of it is based on what we feel and what we see and what we observe in a patient in order to figure out how to help that patient do that better.
Dr. Nancy Landgraf is chairwoman of the Physical Therapy Department.
In the spring semester of their first year, they get into their heavy-duty clinical classes. And we call those clinical decision-making classes. And one of the goals here at Youngstown State is to have our students learn to be good decision makers, good clinical decision makers, because no two patients are alike.
Okay, we got 75.
In this clinical lab class, students take turns measuring the various points in their classmates' chests as they breathe. The goal of this lab is to mimic patients with spinal cord injuries.
So we were just trying to take a look at how those difficulties transfer into difficulty breathing and make determination if they need to be put on a ventilator or if not, or what sort of therapy interventions that we could utilize to try to increase their breathing capabilities.
Graduate assistant Michael Gorgax first got interested in physical therapy through playing sports when he was growing up.
I got injured a few times, so just going through bouts of physical therapy, I thought this is pretty cool. I think it's interesting how the body moves and how we can treat it.
Second-year doctoral student Jenny Parpart says she has always had an interest in physical therapy.
But I didn't pursue it right after undergraduate. I actually, like a lot of undergrads, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I taught high school science for actually 5 years, but I always felt like I still wasn't quite satisfied. It wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, so I did a bunch of physical therapy shadowing, loved it, and decided to come to this program.
All physical therapy programs, if they're not there yet, they're all entry-level doctoral programs. So this is graduate education.
Every year, the department accepts only 30 students into the program. That's roughly 10% of all applicants.
So they learn a lot of the basic foundational information here, and then when they're on their clinical rotation, then they take that information and they really put it into real-world action.
Assistant Professor Dave GRISWOLD says the program teaches students how to reason their way through problems.
A lot of our students, especially nowadays, are very intelligent. They can clearly pass exams. It's not about just reading information from a textbook. It's about what clinical experience have we had over the course of our careers, and then how can we relay that to them, what we learned from it, and which will help them to grow at a much faster rate clinically. We like to use a lot of problem-based learning strategies, so we give them a case scenario, and we give them a little bit of that information, and then we have them go back and kind of work through some of the information that they've been given, and then when they come back with their answers, we layer on more information for them. So this way, you know, they can take very simple, in earlier clinical decision-making courses, they're very basic cases, and then as they go through and they learn more and more information, then we can make the cases more difficult.
Physical therapists are termed movement specialists. So we look at how you move, we look at what's not allowing you to move freely, whether it's pain or whether it's weakness or whether it's, a pathology like a stroke or whatever. And then we're working to help people to get as functional as possible.
There's a lot of different places that somebody can go to receive physical therapy education. And when you look at that, one of the consumer thoughts that people have to look at is what's the cost of it to obtain your license. And I think that YSU provides not only a stellar education, but also the value that you get that education for is really, really important as well.